The story is about Mohamedou Slahi, who spent 14 years in Guantánamo Bay as a prisoner. The United States thought that he was involved with 9/11 and Al-Qaeda, the leadership there and all of that. So he was considered the #1 guy in Guantánamo, which was the reason why he was heavily tortured when he was there. And then when he was released in 2016, John went and visited him in Mauritania. And one of the most surprising things he told John is that he wants to talk to his torturers and to his captors. We arranged a few conversations between Mohamedou, the prisoner, and his torturers. So after 17 or 18 years, they kind of got back together on video calls and talked about what happened at the time.
I mean, my first story about Slahi was like 2008, I think it was, 2007, 2008. And again, in between that period and now, we had kind of stayed in contact. And when he got out of jail, when he got out of Guantánamo, I hadn't given him my number. All I saw was all of a sudden a WhatsApp message on my phone, hey John, remember me? How do you feel about coming to visit me in Mauritania? And at the time we thought, well, be like a kind of a film about somebody who got out of Guantánamo. What I didn't know is that when I got to Mauritania, that Mohamedou had a plan. And the plan was, he thought that I, as an American journalist, could go out and find the torture team for him.
We were kind of blessed to have a story in front of us. I mean, blessed in a journalistic sense now, with such a compelling narrative, personal story, right? But at the same time, it talks about so much more. It talks about Guantánamo, the whole system in Guantánamo. It talks about torture. And in the end, I think it even talks about the war on terror.
What we hoped to do with the story was to look at each person in the story and to show their humanity as much as we could.
It was so challenging in a way because everything that we talk about took place in a very, very secretive environment. Sometimes even a room where only 2 people have been in.
We spent many years trying to find Mr. X. We spent a lot of time looking at kind of lists of people who had worked at Guantánamo, trying to figure out, what period when someone worked. We spent a lot of time going through long lists of people, figuring out when they were in Guantánamo and when they weren't, and then we contacted these people and then kind of asked them questions. But in the end, all of that didn't help us find Mr. X. What helped us find Mr. X in the end was somebody I knew who ran into him in a barbecue. And he had just done a seminar about the Slahi case. And he was talking about how interesting it was for him. And Mr. X outed himself and said, hey, I was there.
So we kind of imagined this monster.
He was really different than I expected him to be.
He turned out to be this considerate, I have to say, very sympathetic and frankly nice man who was so troubled by what he did. My takeaway of the whole story is that it's not that easy. All of those narratives can coexist at the same time. If you felt troubled or if you felt confused at some points while reading the story, that's exactly what we set out to do, because we felt that as reporters as well.